Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we cut through the noise to get you informed fast. Today we're exploring something pretty exciting in AI, something that's genuinely shifting what these systems can do.
Yeah, it's quite a development.
We're typing AI agents, large language models, LLMs. They're getting incredibly powerful. But sometimes they just, well, hit a wall, right? Especially when tasks get really complex or, frankly, expensive to run.
That's exactly it. I mean, LLMs are amazing tools, no doubt. But asking them to solve really intricate stuff all alone, it often leads to, well, inefficiencies. Sometimes they just can't quite get there.
And the ways we've been helping them, the existing methods, they work, sort of, but they come with these high inference costs.
Right. That's the term for basically how much computing power and, time they chew up. It can really add up.
So our mission today is to unpack a really, I think, ingenious solution. We're going to introduce you to Introspection of Thought, or I-T. It's a new framework for AI agents. Think of it like this. Unlocking a way for AI not just to do hard tasks, but to actually, think critically about its own answers internally.
That internal part is key.
Exactly. Leading to AI that's not just smarter, but way cheaper to run, more reliable. That self-correction happening inside. That's the game changer.
Absolutely.
And we're basing all this on the research paper that introduced INOT. So this deep dive, it's your shortcut to understanding this really innovative leap.
Let's get into it.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Setting the stage. We've all seen the crazy advancements, right? LLMs, multimodal LLMs, MLM. I mean, from GPT-3 way back when to things like GPT-4, Claude, DeepSeek, LV now.
Yeah, the progress has been phenomenal.
And they're everywhere, used for complex math, writing code, just answering questions, all sorts of reasoning tasks.
They are incredibly powerful, like you said, but there are still limits. Especially with these really complex multi-step problems, that's where AI agents come into play.
Ah, okay, so the
Okay.
agents are like managers?
Kind of, yeah. They act as orchestrators. They help the LLM tackle those harder problems, but crucially without needing to actually retrain the whole underlying model.
That makes sense. Saves a lot of work, presumably. And a big part of steering these LLMs without messing with their core programming is this thing called prompt engineering, right?
Exactly. Prompt engineering is how we give the instructions the context. We basically tell the model what we want it to do through the prompt.
Okay.
And what's really fascinating is seeing how that's evolved. It's led to these foundational reasoning frameworks like chain of thought COC and iteration of thought, or IoT.
Right, I've heard of those. COC-T is...
So chain of thought, you can picture it as like a single AI agent thinking things through step by step. It processes, gets a result, then it sort of reflects on it, judges it, iterates, almost like talking itself through the problem.
like an internal monologue, but linear.
Pretty much, yeah. A linear progression until it thinks the answer is reasonable.
Okay, an iteration of thought, IoT. How's that different?
So IoT takes it a step further. Instead of just one agent reflecting, you have multiple agents kind of interacting. They generate results, critique each other, refine things iteratively.
Okay.
So the flow is a bit more complex, maybe multi-directional, think multiple perspectives working together.
It's almost like a virtual team brainstorming session.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Working.
It could be more robust.
But there's always a but, isn't there? What's the catch with these methods?
Well, the main issue, even though CoT and IoT can be quite effective, is that a lot of that reflection and interaction happens outside the main LLM,
Outside, meaning...
meaning lots of back and forth. You send input to the LLM, get output, process it externally, send new input, repeat. Each cycle costs tokens.
Ah, the token costs you mentioned earlier. So it gets expensive.
It can get very expensive, yes. Plus, relying heavily on natural language prompts for all this complex back and forth. Well, language can be ambiguous, right?
Yeah.
The LLM might not always interpret the instructions exactly as you intended. There's potential for bias or just going off track.
Okay, so high costs and potential misunderstandings. Which brings us then to introspection of thought. I-T. This is positioned as the answer.
It's proposed as a really clever way around those problems, yes. The core idea is shifting that whole complex reflection process, the self-critique, the debate inside the LLM itself.
Inside. How does that work?
That's the innovation. It uses a new kind of LLM-readable code called prompt code, defined right inside the prompt you give the model.
Prompt code. Okay.
This lets the LLM run a whole programmatic dialogue, a reasoning process internally, without all that costly external back and forth.
So it's like running a mini program within the prompt.
Basically, yes. Yeah. And the results are pretty striking. Experiments showed, on average, about an 8% improvement in performance.
Okay, better results.
And get this, a 58.3% reduction in token cost compared to the best existing methods.
Wow, over half the cost cut. That's huge.
It really is. It's a significant shift in efficiency.
So prompt code is obviously central here. What is it exactly? How does this code let an LLM do something that sounds like, well, introspection?
It's a really interesting hybrid. It mixes Python programming language with natural language.
Python. Why Python?
Well, Python has a concise syntax, it's clearly structured, and things like variable names, function names, even comments in the code provide rich semantic clues that help the LLM figure out the intent behind the code. It's easier for the LLM to understand what it's supposed to do.
Okay, structure and clarity from Python. And the natural language part, what does that add?
Flexibility, mostly. Natural language is just intuitive, right? It lets you easily explain the background of the task, the overall goals, maybe some tricky requirements.
Things that are hard to just code.
Exactly. You can replace potentially long, complex code blocks with just a sentence or two. And you can express abstract ideas like, I don't know, ensure scalability or make it robust. Try coding that directly.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
And the whole thing, this prompt code mixed with natural language, it's structured using XML.
XML, like for web pages.
Sort of, yeah. It's just a way to structure the information clearly using tags. It helps the LLM parse the prompt efficiently and reduces the chance of it misunderstanding the different parts.
That's a clever mix. Structure from Python and XML, flexibility from natural language. So, okay, we have this prompt code. How is the actual I-know-T prompt built? What are the pieces?
Good question. It's built around three main modules that work together. First, there's the prompt code definition module.
Okay, makes sense. Define the code first.
Exactly. This is where prompt code itself is laid out. And importantly, it includes a rules section. This section gives the LLM a clear framework, specific execution steps. It tells the LLM how to follow the logic, preventing it from just, making stuff up or going off on tangents. It keeps the reasoning systematic.
Got it. Module 1, define the code and the rules. What's next?
Module 2 is the image augment module, or IAM.
Ah, right. You mentioned multimodal LLMs earlier. This is for when there are images involved.
Precisely. This module provides a really systematic framework for visual analysis. It guides the MLM through different stages of looking at an image.
Stages, like what?
Well, it starts with basics. Identifying objects, colors, shapes, any text in the image, spatial relationships.
Okay, the obvious stuff.
Then it moves to more advanced analysis, looking at lighting, shadows, textures, maybe signs of movement. This helps infer things like time of day, material properties, what's happening physically.
Digging deeper into the visual cues.
Then there's context awareness, using any accompanying text, metadata, or just the LLM's existing knowledge to refine understanding. Recognizing cultural symbols, things like that.
And finally,
inference and verification. Cross-checking details, avoiding assumptions, making sure everything holds together logically. It's all about ensuring the image interpretation is precise, consistent, and, well, logical.
that sounds incredibly thorough for image analysis. Okay, so we have prompt code defined, rules set, images analyzed if needed. Where does the introspection really kick in? That must be the third module.
That's the one. The reasoning module. This is where the magic happens, so to speak. It sets up a structured, virtual multi-agent debate, but all happening inside the LLM.
A virtual debate. How does that work?
It's pretty cool, actually. The paper describes it like this. Imagine two virtual agents. Let's call them Agent A and Agent B.
Okay.
They're both given the same problem and asked to reason about it independently. So each one comes up with its own initial answer and its thought process, its chain of reasoning.
Right, two separate attempts.
Then the debate starts. It goes through structured phases. They set a maximum of, I think, 10 rounds to stop it going on forever.
Sensible. What happens in these rounds?
So the agents present their arguments, they critique each other's logic, they offer rebuttals, and this is key with your ski. They adjust their own reasoning based on the feedback.
Well, so they learn from the critique.
Exactly. It's this iterative cycle. They refine their thoughts, hopefully catch errors, resolve inconsistencies between their approaches.
And the goal is?
The goal is for them to converge on a better, more reliable answer. If they reach a point where they agree, where result A equals result B, the system just outputs that final result. No need for further explanation because it's been internally validated through this debate.
That internal debate, it
Yeah.
sounds intensive. How does forcing the AI to argue with itself essentially make it better?
Well, it's like forcing yourself to consider counter arguments, right? By making the agents challenge each other, point out flaws, defend their reasoning, it pushes them beyond just the first plausible answer. It helps eliminate biases or errors that a single line of thought might miss. It leads to a more robust, well-considered conclusion.
Okay, that makes intuitive sense, but, the proof is in the pudding. Let's talk results. Did the experiments actually show this works?
They really did. The findings were quite compelling, actually. Performance-wise, INI hit an average score of 81.3 across 6 different benchmarks. These covered question answering, code generation, math problems. A good mix.
And how did that compare?
It beat all the baseline methods like the standard COT or IoT approaches by an average of 7.95%.
Nearly 8% better on average. That's substantial. Any specific examples that stand out?
Yeah, a couple were particularly impressive. On Human Evil, which tests code generation, INOT got a pass at one score of 95.9%.
Pass at 1, meaning it got the code right on the first try almost 96% of the time.
Exactly. Compare that to 90.6% for the best baseline method. That's a big jump in reliability for coding tasks.
Wow, okay. What about math? Math problems can be really tricky for LLMs.
Definitely. On the math dataset, INOT achieved a solve rate of 53.4%, so successfully solving over half the problems. The best baseline was around 50.2%, again, a noticeable improvement in a really challenging area.
Those accuracy gains are definitely convincing. But you hammered home the cost issue earlier. How did INO stack up on those inference costs? Did the internal processing pay off?
Oh, absolutely. This was maybe the most dramatic finding. INOT's token cost was, on average, 58.3% lower than the best performing baseline.
58% lower costs, while getting better results.
Precisely. That's the kicker. It demonstrates a much, much better balance between efficiency and effectiveness. You're getting, well, more bang for your buck.
That's kind of nuts. Better answers for roughly half the price.
Pretty much. And another really important point. INOT seems to be model agnostic.
Meaning it works with different LLMs.
Yeah. They tested it across various models, DeepSeek, Claude, Gemma, Quinn, Llama, and the performance was really stable. The variation didn't exceed 5%. So it's a versatile framework, not just something tailored to one specific AI.
That's crucial for real-world use. And what about images? Did the image augment module pull its weight in those multimodal tasks?
It did. INOT showed strong performance in image question answering, and crucially, the full INOT framework with the image augment module consistently outperformed a version of INO without it.
Ah, so the IM actually made a difference.
Yes. For instance, using the LLM model on a dataset called Squia IMG, full INOT got 90.2% accuracy, while INOT without the image module got 88.9%. So that systematic visual analysis clearly helps.
Okay. And one last thing on the mechanics. You mentioned prompt code being key. Did they definitively prove that the code itself was the main driver?
They did. They ran what's called an ablation study. That's where you systematically remove or disable parts of the system to see what impact it has.
Testing components in isolation.
Exactly. And those tests confirmed that the custom prompt code and the logic it uses for execution, that internal debate structure, those are the core things driving INOT's better performance. It's not just a fluke. It's about how it tells the LLM to reason.
Right. So let's try and sum this up for everyone listening. INO really seems to change the game for AI agent reasoning.
I think that's fair to say, yeah.
By using this clever prompt code thing, this mix of Python and natural language, and setting up this virtual debate inside the LLM, it manages to do that complex iterative thinking, that reflection, without all the costly external back and forth.
Spot on.
And the payoff is twofold: higher accuracy, better answers, and dramatically lower costs.
That's the bottom line. It's like giving the AI the power to genuinely think critically about its own reasoning process internally, which leads to deeper, more nuanced understanding.
And for you listening, this means AI systems are getting better at tackling really complex problems, but in a way that's more efficient and hopefully more reliable. It's not just about raw power anymore, but smarter processing.
Yeah, smart, more self-aware processing in a way.
Which leads us to a final thought for you to chew on. As AI models get better at this kind of introspection, this internal refinement, how might that change how we interact with AI?
Interesting question.
What new doors does it open for solving problems in science or medicine or engineering, you name it? And what other complex, maybe human-like thought processes like creativity or planning might we see AI start to internalize next?
Yeah, where does this internal reasoning capability lead? It's definitely something to think about.
We'll leave you with that thought. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.